Thanks, Pierre. And thanks.
Right, get a chat.
Sorry. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we'll come back again.
Okay. And thanks for everybody for sharing their testimony today. It's a difficult thing to do in relation to what we're talking about. And as a committee and as legislators, we're trying to, I suppose, grasp and try to understand the issue of assisted dying and hear each other in relation to circumstances. Just want to first remember a number of people that probably would have been here today. Brendan Clark was meant to give testimony today. Unfortunately, Brendan passed away in August. Vicky Phelan, John. Vicky would have been loving to be here. And I know she was so passionate about this issue. She spoke to myself and Tom and yourself, John, in relation to her circumstances. And I think Vicky has been a catalyst for many things, and one of the issues in 2020 supporting the bill, I think was a big a catalyst in relation to people understanding what assisted dying is, and people trying to quantify in their own mind why people should have a choice. Because Vicky always said, look, walk in my shoes and try to think, you know, what you would do in my circumstances. And I've said this many, many times, you know, somebody with a terminal illness will never ever want to avail of assisted dying, even if it was legislated tomorrow. But there are some people that want a choice and have control. I have a very personal experience with this, and I think, you know, and I think we all have experiences in relation to issues like this, and I think, you know, that's what we're trying to grasp today. And can we legislate in this country in an Irish context? Yes, we can. We have seen other countries where they do legislate, and there are concerns in relation to the parameters of assisted dying. Again, I've stated that, you know, it should be restrictive to a certain cohort of people, that then they have a choice. And, you know, and then, as in all pieces of legislation, they are reviewed. They can be changed over time, but it's up to legislators. We are the legislators. We are elected by the people of Ireland to deal with issues that are difficult at times. Like, I mean, you know, I support assisted dying, but it is a difficult issue to talk about, complex issue, but it's important that we talk about, and hopefully that we can legislate over time. Just a number of other people that, again, have passed away, that have been huge advocates for assisted dying, is Marty Fleming. I think Marty, again, was the catalyst 10 years ago, Tom. Bernadette Ford, and again, a French. They were the number of people that I always had kind of, I didn't know them personally, but I knew of their cases, and they have been the kind of cutting edge. I think their personal testimony and their circumstances have been kind of the cutting edge of, you know, why we're having this debate, why we're here, and why we're thinking about this issue. And hopefully that the law will change. Just in my short time, because I think it's a more important time to hear you, is for balance, I think for the four witnesses today, what would you say in probably a minute or less to people, legislators that haven't made up their mind in relation to this issue? So I'll just give that to the four witnesses.
Yeah, we'll start with Mr. Ahern, so please.
Well, this is an issue that's going to impact us all. It is an issue that is going to impact our loved ones. It is a matter of choice. It is a matter of choice. All of us have but this one life. My wife wanted to live. My wife wanted to live her life as long as she possibly could. She loved it. Living with a terminal illness means you live every day to its fullest. And she would have wanted more time. She would have wanted more treatments. But despite our enormous advances in treatments and in palliative care, that quality of life that she would have settled for, being sick, being able to sit in the car while we went for a drive to the beach, the simple, small little things in life were no longer available to her. All that was there was constant pain. Constant pain. I didn't want my wife to have to die. I didn't want to have to accompany her in such a manner. I didn't want to endure what I had to endure. I would have given anything to change that. But the medical advances that we have available at the moment didn't allow for that to be the case. And in the case of people who are going through such pain and suffering, I would appeal to the undecided to listen to the heartfelt stories of all of us here, and take all those contributions on board when making your deliberations, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Curran.
What I would probably say to them is just, it's about choice. If you don't want that choice, then that's fine. But if somebody else does, don't prevent them from having that choice. And the unfortunate thing is that while we're talking about it here, and during the 10 years since Mary's court case of Mary's death, this thing is going on. We can't push our heads under the sand. Sylvan from Dignitas was here. He mentioned a figure that they've dealt with, that people have travelled from Ireland. Dignitas is only one clinic. There are lots of people travelling from Ireland, but there are also lots of people taking this issue into their own hands. An example of that, and I suppose a proof of that, is the fact that the Canadian recently, that I suppose he was arrested for sending out product, which was perfectly legal product, but the purpose of the product was end of life. When he was arrested, they found his distribution list. He was doing it out of the goodness of his heart, because this wasn't available to people in places like Ireland. But when they found his distribution list, there was a whole series of people, elderly people from Ireland, who had bought from him. So people are taking this into their own hands while you sit back and do nothing about it. It's been 10 years since Mary died. Isn't it time to get off something?
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Curran. Mr. Wall.
Yeah, like Garrett and Tom, I'd echo their views about choice. I take my own first person example as an example of just what life is about. I'm terminal, I live with stage 4 cancer, and I live very successfully. And my life's mantra is carpe diem. Since I was diagnosed, I fight with every fibre of my being to stay alive. I have no desire to pass away. I can look forward to a healthy life, as many terminal patients can, an extended life because of the advances in medicine as we speak. Since I was diagnosed, there's been incredible advances that allow me to live the life that I lead. But at the end of it, I just don't want to suffer. Passing peacefully is my desire, and naturally, I would prefer not to have any intervention whatsoever, only should the need arise to avoid unnecessary suffering. That's all that we ask. It's about choice.
Thank you, Mr. Wall. Mrs. Walsh.
I suppose in the 10 years that Donald passed away, those 10 years, I can say that we've gone to schools 2 and 3 times a week throughout Ireland, north and south. The Department of Education has books about Donald going into schools in secondary and primary, both in the north and the south of Ireland. So the Department of Education is promoting Donald's live life message. And then you have the Department of Health, who's eroding it. That same Department of Health invested in Donald. They invested in 9 months chemotherapy with him. They invested in a prosthetic leg with him, partially prosthetic. They invested in a lung operation with him. They invested in 4 more chemotherapies with him, and they invested in his palliative care unit. So what I'm saying is that we're diminishing life. We're diminishing the value of life if we go ahead with this. You know, on one hand you have the Department of Education promoting Donald, and on the other hand you have the Department of Health who's going to go ahead with this bill if it comes in, and they are diminishing the value of life by bringing in this bill. And I suppose that's a point that I just want to make.
Thank you, Mrs. Walsh.